To our very young and beautiful instructor, Ma'am Rizal Joy Adlawan, good morning, Ma'am. To my friends, classmates, schoolmates, good day, everyone. I am Hanami Amplayo. My task is to report Chapter 7, The Social Grace. So, social grace, more popular known as a good manners, an etiquette is not a put-on or add-on to one's personality. It should be part of the character of a person. Manners, says Webster, are social contact or rules of conduct, as shown in the prevalent custom, habitual deportment, especially with reference to polite conventions. Consideration for others is the basis of good manners. Some question you can use as guides before acting are: does it make people comfortable and happy? How does this action affect others? Manners are also based on past social customs. The condition that caused these manners to be proper no longer exists, but the manners continue to exist. An example given by Newton and Green in their book, How to Improve Your Personality, is the origin of the rule that a man should walk on the curb side of the street when he is with a woman. According to them, this started during the horse and buggy. This when the man staying along the curb protected the woman from horses. For costume's sake, however, this is still being observed. So, knowledge of good manners give people increased self-confidence. It comes from knowing what is expected of one in a given situation and of how to do with as what is expected. When manners become second nature to a person, he increases his sense of security, poise, self-confidence, and self-respect. Manners make a difference with how people feel about you. In this way, how people feel about you, in this way, it becomes part of your personality because it in turn makes people react to you in a peculiar way. Etiquette consists of an act of rules of living in our society. These rules make us more comfortable and reflect a feeling of what is right towards others. Only the most unusual person, for one reason or another, completely disregards rules of etiquette with impunity. This person, however, becomes a most uncomfortable one to be with. The two most widely read and most researched volumes on etiquette are Amy Vanderbilt and Emily Post for questions on which fork or spoon to use and what offer and what dress to wear to what occasions. You can refer to their voluminous books for guidance. Sometimes, these are more suited to foreign situations, so proper adoption based on common sense should be made. Starting to be finished, you must prepare yourself to take advantage of the wonderful opportunities available. Opportunities far beyond the life of domesticity, unlimited social activity that the man, woman of only a generation or two ago could expect. Fortunately, today's society generally allows a generous maturation period during which a young man, woman may develop mentally, physically, culturally, and socially without the pressure of making her own way. The span between the ages of 12 and 25 is the time in which you move through the school years to independent adult living and begin to establish your life. As a young person today, you have been born into a new era and you will want to take advantage of all it has in store. You can acquire an education and knowledge of the arts and can travel and experience social interchange so that you are interesting conversationalist and eager listener. You can also cultivate simple graciousness and consideration for others. In addition to acquiring such knowledge and skills, you should also be using this precious variety of people and to cope with a wide range of situations. The most intelligent, competent, talented, or beautiful women can fail to reach goals unless they are at ease with themselves and are able to make those around them comfortable also. Promising careers, social acceptance, marriages, relationships, and even parenthood can become casualties of an individual's inability. One step in acquiring that essential report is to replace the self-absorption of childhood with a genuine concern for others. While this concern must come from the heart, it is easily communicated by one who possesses the correct social pose. There is no place for rudeness, crudity, or even for indifference or ignorance. In a relationship between human beings, while elements of etiquette change with the times, the fundamental code is timeless, based as it is on kindness and consideration for others. Etiquette is no longer reserved for the privileged, but it is a standard for society as a whole. It is just as important for the young man or woman at the supermarket checkout or the teenage babysitter to know the observed correct social usage as it is for the rising young executive or the debutante. Remember that you are a role model yourself and you have many opportunities to raise the level of your social interactions. Etiquette, rules of conduct in relationships were of necessity developed and refined through the ages. Each generation has sought to transmit these necessities of life to its successors and to inspire the young to even higher levels of culture and taste. Gradually, the body of etiquette that is the standard for civilized people has come into being. As you need your way through the decade that connects childhood to maturity, etiquette can serve as a roadmap, as a set of direction to keep you from making the wrong turns, from choosing a dead end, socially or career-wise. The term etiquette seems still or funny, but consider the etiquette is the name of a pattern of behavior that is based on consideration for others, appropriateness, and good taste, and which one learn helps you to do the right thing in almost in any circumstances. The increasing appreciation of courtesy and proper personal conduct, especially among young people, is one of the most encouraging trends of our time. Technically, the word etiquette comes from Old French and means ticket or label. The word etiquette originally meant the ticket of entrance to France court. Ceremonies upon this ticket were rated the rules of court behavior. A similar ticket also listed the registration to be followed within the walls of Feudal Castle and was commonly found attached to a post inside the courtyard. Therefore, those invited into the castle were not that close as to how they should behave. Overcoat, hats and airs and business or social gatherings or ceremonies run smoothly. Consider your knowledge of etiquette as your ticket of admission into the conversation of a polite and caring society. Consider it a special pass that will enable you to relate to others with thoughtfulness and foolish manners. How often do you smile? In the word of hospitality, nothing is more natural of communicating an attitude of cheer in welcoming a guest and making him or her feel at ease than smiling. For hospitality professional, smiling is as natural as a fish swimming in the water. Smiling is an instant energizer. It makes you look approachable, friendly, relaxed, open, and comfortable. It shows others that you have a sense of well-being and that you have enjoyed life. Smiling also improves your voice quality by relaxing your throat muscles. It also makes you look younger. Eye contact. If you want to look and sound sincere, maintain eye contact with the person you are speaking to. Looking Looking a person in the eye means that we acknowledge their presence and that you are listening to his or her every word. Not maintaining eye contact is like saying you are a non-person. Significant, the most valuable message of eye contact is recognition. A fleeting glance is not enough. On the other hand, is a penetrating glance means you're overly interested in the person and may be embarrassing and uncomfortable. Break eye contact frequently as you talk or listen. The best technique is to look down to the side and then back. A polite listener will focus on the chin, mouth, or one side of the other person's face. Rules of eye contact depend on one's culture, so be conscious of the rules. Suggested words to use often. First, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and the person name. Example, Mr. Cruz, Mr. Santos, how may I help you? What can I do for you? Or may I help you? Second, please, yes, please. Could you wait for a minute, please? This sounds better than wait for a minute. Third, thank you. This is better than thanks. Say thank you to your coworkers, to guests, your supervisor, to vendors, to anybody who does something for you.
Gets kicked.
Fourth, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure, sir or ma'am. You're welcome, or you are very welcome. 5. I am sorry, and I apologize is not used often enough when we acknowledge at fault. To be effective, it must be sincere, personal, and timely. Use the word I, not we or they. Say I am sorry. Right away to acknowledge that there is a problem and what we are going to solve it. Number 6, I'll be happy to convey the message that we are giving this additional service happily and we are going this extra mile for the guest. This could be an effective response to a customer's request. Number 7, remember person names. A person name is to him here the sweetest and most important sounds in any language. This is Dale Carnegie's advice. You can say, could you help me pronounce your name please? You may ask for a business card or look at luggage tags, etc. Some rules are A. Pay attention. B. Repent the name immediately. C. Make a mental association. The name Candelaria could bring out an image of a candle, etc. And the last, number 8, please be my guest. You can see this when someone is borrowing something that is yours. Words to avoid. 1. I don't know. 2. I can do that. 3. You will have to. 4. No. Use instead. First, let me check. Second, let's see what can I do. Third, we can help you. Fourth, yes or maybe no problem.
Social graces in the family. Many times, the home is the place we let go, so to speak. We are careless of what we act or say, and this is not a healthy situation. It is at home that we should practice the social amenities of living. It is of paramount importance that we should respect the privacy of each member of the family. From this will emanate an atmosphere of social respect, trust, and love. Social graces in the public places. This includes behavior in the streets, on the bus, in restaurants, in church, in theaters and movie house, and in school. The smorgasbord. This is a delightful importation from Sweden. Actually, it is a food served buffet style. It is a buffet of such variety and interest that is becoming increasingly popular. Here you have a wide selection of cold cuts, fish, a choice of hot foods, salads, and desserts. Calling the waiter. The usual way is to catch his eye and then raise your hand as if to say, "Come here." If he does not look your way, you may call waiter or waitress quietly. Clapping the hands, whistling, shouting, or saying "Psst" is considered rude. Paying the check. When everyone has finished, the host catches the eye of the waiter and says, "Check, please." The proper adjustment should be made without a scene. If the management is unpleasant, simply pay the check and do not return to the restaurant again. Tipping. It is difficult to give defined rules for tipping. If there is a notation at the bottom of the check, please be cashier. Put the tip on the table, collect your belongings, and then leave. Payment by means of credit card is a convenience of members of credit organizations. All he has to do is give the check and his credit card to the worker for processing, after which he signs a voucher. Other restaurant courtesies. When a group enters a restaurant and sees people who some do and others do not, they continue directly to their table, nodding hello as they pass. Never comb their hair in public. This rule applies to both men and women. In church. The church is a place of worship. Being a formal place, conservative clothing should be worn. Do not unduly attract attention when you enter. Walk quietly to a convenient seat. Avoid greeting friends in a loud voice. If you have something to say, whisper to the person that you would like to talk to. Laughing conspicuously is definitely out of place. Participate effectively, but do not attract attention on praying too loudly or singing out the top of your voice. You are not trying out for the opera. At the theater. With the revival of cultural presentations in the Greater Manila area, it is imperative that a person who is studying to have improved social graces learn how to behave and what to wear to these functions. On arriving at the theater, the host or hosts holds the ticket in his hand so that the usher may see him. The man should sit on the aisle. When there are two couples, the man should go in first, followed by the two women, and finally the other man. At the movies. Unless you are attending a movie premiere, casual attire is in order. The kind of casual to wear is determined by the location of the movie house. When there are no ushers, a man and woman go down the aisle together. Talking, coughing, rattling cellophane and candy wrappers, crackling of nuts, etc. are annoying and disturbing for everyone in the audience. Sticky fruits, seeds and peanuts should be gathered in a paper bag instead of scattered on the floor. Introductions. Introductions are an important part of good manners, and you must accept the responsibility and practice the skill of performing with a natural ease. The important thing about introduction is that they have to be made. The wordings vary, but the fact that you've made them is more important. Here are the rules for introduction. First, mentioning name of person you are honoring first. This person could be an older person, a distinguished person, a lady, your boss, a clergyman, etc. Example, Mr. Tomlinson, this is Miss Ballingit. Second, business reversal of ordinary introduction. You say, Mr. Ramos, this is Miss Manalo of XYZ Company. Miss Manalo, this is Mr. Ramos, my employer. Third, acknowledging an introduction. The best acknowledgement is how do you do. If you can repeat the name, it would be better. Fourth, shaking hands. Shaking hands is a more formal way of acknowledging an introduction. In this case, the lady extends her hand first. If the man starts the gesture, then the woman takes it briefly and firmly, neither a painful hold or more limp, insincere one. Fifth, rising for an introduction. A man is expected to rise when introduced at all times. A woman does so only when introduced to an older woman or a distinguished person. Sixth, introducing oneself. There are occasions when you find yourself beside a person at a gathering and there is no one to introduce you. In such cases, it is preferable for you to strike a casual conversation rather than stare blankly at the wall. You can say, "I'm Jenica's cousin," or "I am a classmate of Anjanit." You may also say when the person is known to you, "Aren't you TC Masida? I am the sister of your friend, Pedro Reyes." And seventh, when incorrectly introduced. When your name is incorrectly given or your title, Miss or Mrs., is wrongly given, it is only sensible that the error be corrected immediately. You can say Miss, not Mrs., in a nice way, without seeming sanctimonious about it. The next topic is manners at the table. One of the most accurate measure of civilization, be it societies, families, or an individual's, is the way it feeds itself. While neatness, noiselessness, and sociability are the goals of dining etiquette. Cocktail parties. Cocktail parties have become the most common form of entertaining, and they are the most popular form of business entertaining. The following are the table etiquette. First, hold the knife and fork correctly. There are two eating styles that are correct. The American, in which you eat with the fork in the right and change over to cut. The Continental, in which cut-off bites of meat can be spurred with the fork, tires down in the left hand, and transferred to the mouth with the left hand. Second, the fork is slipped under the food and the morsel lifted up and conveyed to the mouth. Third, get conservatively sized bite. Fourth, sit erect at the table.
Continuing to the report of Miss Regina Palingit about the table etiquette, here's the number 5. So, things eaten with a fork sa mga pagkain na kinakain gamit ang tinidor. This is meat, fish, and poultry, vegetables, salads, pie, sticky or very soft cake, ice cream kung hard pa yan at melt, and fruits. Remember, when it's the things eaten with a fork, food is to be lifted upon the fork, not spread. Then number 6, things eaten with fingers, mga pagkain na kinakain gamit ang kamay. This is bread, rolls, sandwiches. If expect kung paso yan, you cannot use your fingers. Celery, olives, cookies, and fruits. Those are foods that can be eaten with fingers. Unless these foods are served sa tray or sa plate, you cannot use your fingers. The number 7, never use your bread to mop your plate, nor do you dunk your bread in the coffee or cocoa. So, dili pwede na ang tanukan or bread mo imamulmak sa kanu plato to clean up all the excess na pili ng mga food. Then, never dunk or isang sabang kanu bread sa cocoa or coffee. Then number 8, take soup with a spoon, spooning away from you. Do not slurp your food with your spoon. So, kinahanglan sa soup, gamitin mo ang spoon to spooning, pasingutan mo. Then, di ka bawal ang magkaan ng sabae. Mamayang slurp. Slurp is a slang. Then, ang pinakalas sa table etiquette is, if you drop your silverware, leave it there. So, kung makagtang ka ng mga silverware mo, like fork, spoon, and everything nasa mga silverware mo, leave it there pasagdi. Because it is inappropriate and you can make sense, and especially if ato yung magtang sa ilam ng ng table, their table, you do not want to crawl or kanapon ito to get it. So instead, ask the server for a new utensils, then apologize. franchise. It's easy. So that's all of the
That's
9
kick.
table etiquette. Then this is the formal place setting. You can see a lot of things sa table are glasses, different kinds of glass, menu cards, different kinds of forks, and different kinds of knives and spoons. Them. Next is the art of conversation. Auditory impressions are as important as visual ones. Your conversation should be exciting, engaging, of interesting thoughts and opinions, amusing and original. So, dapat sa auditory impressions daw ay importante katulad sa mga visual. Then, dapat ang conversation mo ay nabit ay kanaan interesting na mga kaalaman o opinion o ari kanang makakatawaan originality ng mga topic. Then, there are people who are very intelligent and they knows a lot of things and so that they can really understand complicated situations, and they are called sophisticated people. These people respect the political, cultural, religious, and even moral commitments of others. And also, they can listen to diverse knowledge or opinions from others without angry. And these people, these sophisticated people, they have this sincerity and kindness with them, and that too is best in conversation. Then, ngani sa sophisticated people,
That's kick.
they are very good conversationalists, and there are prerequisites if you want to be a good conversationalist. And be a good conversationalist is a great baganayaan. Ang first requisite to be a good conversationalist is to learn to be a listener. Because those sophisticated people, they really listen. They listen what their kaistorya, opinions or ideas, they listen. And when they are their kaistorya, they start mag-thinking. Yeah, they are good listeners. So if you want to become a good conversationalist, be a good listener. Then sa conversation, there are 3 things to talk about. These are people, things, and idea. In people, it doesn't mean na mag-chismis or gossip. It means to have a lively talk about person of general interest. If you really want to talk people without telling a gossip or magchismisan, you can listen to programs on radio and television, see interesting movies, read a variety of books, magazine, and newspaper. Because by those things, you can actually know and meet different kinds of people that is you're going to talk about with other people, or especially in a formal events. And the second subject area that is good for conversation is things. Some things you can just remember details of trip, a building, artworks, your hobbies, and the hobbies of others. That's it. And the others. That's it. And the last one is the ideas. Here in ideas, it's more complicated here because some ideas may be wonderful or dangerous one. So if you want to discuss a current event, you must stay in, or you must do in a low key. Be on subjective way that will not offend others, because some ideas will offend others and we don't want them, diba? So you can talk ideas include with weather, your surroundings, the arts, current or local happenings, fashion, food, entertainment, diet, exercise, sports, and travel are all topics na good in sa ideas. And then, your aim sa conversation is to make others feel ease, not uncomfortable, di ba? Yun yung aim mo dapat sa isang conversation because we don't want to feel them uncomfortable to talking with us, di ba? Then, next is communication. So, here, guys, na ang communication is a process that defines simply as exchange of messages of human beings. So, here is the communication process illustration. It says the exchange because from a sender, a receiver. From the sender, mag-message yan. Papunta ka ang receiver. This receiver mag-response. Ang response na makadala sa sender. Amay, baylo-baylo. That's called exchange of messages of human beings. And we do it all of our life. Exchanging messages. Then, all of our life. Exchanging messages. Then, to complete a communication process, it consists of 4 segments, which is the sender, the message, the receiver, and the response. Of course, the sender, yan yung mag-create ng message na isinend to kang receiver. Then yung message, then mag-create na rin ng message. Mag-create yan ng idea na, and then mag-create na rin ng message. The message are 2 kinds of information. The substantive or subjective one. Then, pagkahuman sa message, madakator din ka receiver na magdawat na message. So, then pagkahuman, mag-response dadayon sa receiver or mag-react occurs lang sa kanaan yung kita na message. So, this response, naghihimo ni receiver called feedback. So, ganun lang yun. Then, are 5 channels or senses that can make mas clear pa ang isa ka message. For example, if the message is sent by means of illustration. So, example, ang message is sent, pinaagi sa illustration, gamiton sa ang sense of eyes. To understand, clear what is telling about. By talking, we use ears. By feeling, we use our hands, sense of touch. And by smelling, we use our nose. And by tasting, we use our tongue. So, these 5 channels or senses is better and can give more clearly understanding sa maka-receive sila kaysa isa lang gamit. Then, tawag na interpersonal communication. Iniyaan, interpersonal communication is exchanging of feelings and attitudes. So, pagpapalitan ng damdamin sa loob in the communication process, sa isang communication process. Ano yung tawag yan? Interpersonal communication. And as the communication process continues continuous exchanging, it becomes a communication cycle. And ini sender message, receiver message, sender message. Ganon. Maka-create dayaan ng communication cycle. So, what is the importance of communication? So, it is a lifeblood of an organization. Kung wala communication, patay ang organization. Ganon yun. Then, to have an effective communication is more than simply speaking and writing well. So, hindi lang, kung sa effective communication, di lang gikan sa pagsuwat or pag-istorya na madaya. It is means choosing words carefully and knowing when to talk and when it is better to remain silent. So, in effective communication, it means na mag-choose ka ng words mo carefully. Kung ibuta mo ng words, o istorya mo ng words, and knowing kung kino ka maistorya o diri, o kino ka maghilom o diri.
Get kick.
Then sa communication, aray flow na communication. Communication networks or channels are developed and facilitate the flow of messages. So sa communication network or channels, yan ma-develop o ma-facilitate ang flow ng messages. Sa organizational structure, communication may flow from the board of directors Usually, communications flows upward from the support staff to middle management to the top management and directly to the top. So, yung flow ng communication is upward, downward, upward, ganun lang. Then, besides sa formal communication network, every organization yung mag-develop gapon sa informal communication channel. Yung gitawag na grapevine. Ang grapevine information is gossip and hearsay has a little value in the organization. So, mga chika-chika, mga chismes, ganon. Ganon yung grapevine information. That's why it's had a little value because it sometimes tells nonsense things. Then, sa communication process, are barriers na mahitabo. So, communication breakdown can be caused by physical and environmental conditions. So, iniyaan, yahitabuin ni tungod sa physical or environmental conditions. But most part, barriers are psychological in nature. So, pero kono, kasagaran gayod ang barriers sa communication aron sa psychological nature. It's because each person interprets different. Different because we have different perspectives, we have different reference or perspective na kanato isaydan na pinaagi sa kanato life experience naman yung kalain kita, and that is how the virus is gonna appears a lot of barriers, and that's it may be like it may caused by physical or environmental conditions.
Good day to all. I am Chimaling Isa Lili, and here are my topics. The verbal communication, listening, poor listening habits, active listening, body language, business etiquette, and lastly, the reception techniques. So, what is verbal communication? Communicating with words is one method of exchanging ideas, information, thoughts, and feelings. Words spoken, whether they be formal or informal communication, should be sincere and voice-friendly. Voice quality is important. Speaking can be made effective in several ways. A. Vary the pitch of your voice. Means speaking in a monotone, usually the result of habit, bores the listener. B. Pace the speed of your speech. Hard to understand messages should be delivered slowly, but do not speak too slowly or it gets boring. C. Eliminate such expression as okay, you know, or in Filipino, bale. D. Speak loudly enough to be heard by the person you are speaking to, but not too loud to distract others who are not concerned. E. Correct serious speech defects by seeking professional speech therapy. F. Analyze your pitch, tone, pace, and speed by using a tape recorder. And lastly, G. Improve grammar and other language skills by enrolling in an English grammar or business English course. Next topic is listening. So, listening is not the same as hearing. People usually bear the entire message, but too often its meaning is lost or distorted. Listening is an intellectual and emotional process in which one integrates physical, emotional, and intellectual inputs in search of meaning. Active listening requires a conscious attempt to understand the speaker without letting personal opinions influence the content of the speaker message. We should concentrate on what the speaker wants to communicate and not what we want to hear. Poor listening leads to assumption and misunderstandings. This leads to errors, ineffective decision, and/or costly mistakes. And here are some examples of poor listening habits. A. Doing all the talking. Do not monopolize the conversation by doing all the talking. B. Interrupting. Saying I know what you mean before the other person finishes speaking is another listening problem. C. Avoiding eye contact. Although people listen with their ears, they judge whether the receiver is listening by looking at his
Kick.
or her eyes. Maintain eye contact. D. Showing the boredom. Do not play with a pencil, fix your hair, doodle, shuffle papers, wipe your glasses, or play with some objects while the other person is speaking. E. Allowing telephone interruption. Do not make incoming or outgoing telephone calls while someone is speaking. It makes the other person feel unimportant. Lastly, the being easily distracted. Looking out the window to see if anything is more interesting or being distracted by external noise, passerby, or overhearing another conversation. Our next topic is active listening. The active listener is skilled at sensing, attending, and responding. Sensing is the ability to recognize the silent messages, like vocal intonation, body language, facial expressions that the speaker is sending. And attending refers to the verbal, vocal, and visual messages that the active listener sends to the speaker, like eye contact, body language, head nods, and facial expressions. Furthermore, active listening takes great concentration and attention. Our next topic is the body language. The messages people give with their facial expressions, gestures, and posture are called body language or nonverbal communication. And paying attention to a speaker's body language when you listen can improve your understanding of what the speaker is telling you. The messages you give with your movements can be stronger than those delivered with your words. And body language can be as important as the word you say, especially in first meetings. The impression you give should be one of friendliness and interest rather than indifference, boredom, or an attitude. The next topic is the business etiquette. Business etiquette refers to the requirements and expectations of social and business behavior, practices, and conduct that are prescribed by a social convention and a code of ethical behavior among professionals. It basically boils down to demonstrating good manners. And here are some general rules to follow. First, assume that all business associates prefer to address formally. Second, be nice to business associates, secretaries. Third, be punctual for business appointments. And fourth, smoke only when ashtrays are available. Fifth, asking a business associate to have lunch on a pay-your-own basis is acceptable. Sixth, conversation at business social meeting should not be confined to business. Seventh, superiors are not invited out socially by a subordinate. 8. Always say thank you in writing after a favor has been given. 9. When a woman meets men in the coffee room or at the corridor, approaches the chance to be socially with delicacy. 10. Cocktails are reserved for after office hours, not lunches. 11. Profanity are no-nos for the working woman or man. 12. Opening a doors of offices or cars should be done naturally. And next is the reception techniques. The definition of a reception is a receiving, welcoming, or greeting, or a party in honor of someone. And here are some general rules of reception techniques. First, be friendly. Greet visitors with a smile. Second, be attentive. Thinking about watching something carefully, paying careful attention to something, very concerned about the needs of others. Third, ask necessary questions. It requires tact, patience, and perseverance to find out what the visitors wishes to say the executive about. Fourth, attend to your visitors at once. Never let the visitors in front of you wait. All the rules of etiquette discussed in this chapter apply to the secretaries dealing with the public. She or we should always be courteous, attentive, and thoughtful.
Hey everyone, today I'm going to
as they develop. A natural speaking voice is a part of woman's feminine beauty, and it adds to your authority and strength in what you say. Next is regional accents. A regional accent is not bad in itself, but if your accent embarrasses you within the social circle to which you belong, professional help can be effective. Next is your vocabulary. Means you should embark in a lifelong passion for increasing your vocabulary. Think of the marvel of word power, but never be ostentatious in your speech. Next is good grammar. Grammar and syntax are
kick.
crucial to good speech, and these you develop continuously at home, at school, and at work. There are three ways to be good grammar. First is always choose the simple word rather than a flowery, complicated one. Second, pronounce the word in full rather than using initials or abbreviations. Third, avoid any affectation or pretentiousness. Next is how to increase your vocabulary. There are 7 types on how to increase your vocabulary. First, develop a reading habit. Second, vocabulary building is easiest when you encounter words in context. Third, using the dictionary and thesaurus. Fourth, use the dictionary and the thesaurus. Next, play word games. Use flashcards. Subscribe to Word of the Day feeds. Use mnemonics. And there are 3 tricks that you may follow them. First, have a program of regular self-evaluation. Second, look up words in the dictionary for correct pronunciation or accentuation of words. And the third trick is ear training. Next, voice quality that can be improved. There are 10. First, pitch. Second,
kick.
volume. Third, rate. Fourth, inflection. Fifth, emphasis. Sixth, enunciation. 7, pronunciation. 8, diction. 9, stress. And 10, intonation pattern. Next is a plan to improve speech habit. Means analyze your voice and speech habit and take note where you need improvement. The word speech fold in Filipinos is in the letter F, V, and P, B. F is pronounced as P and V as B and vice versa. Next is different ways of emphasizing a word or a phrase. There are 6. First is by voice inflection. Second, by making a pause before or after the word to be emphasized. Third, by stretching or prolonging the word, giving the word or phrase a longer duration. Fourth, by changing the pitch given to the word or phrase. Fifth, by changing the volume on the word or phrase, saying it either louder or softer. Sixth, by changing the speed of our speech. Next is conversation. The art of conversation is getting to be lost art. With television, the movie, and the other forms of entertainment, sitting around together in a room, exchanging ideas is fast disappearing.
Kick.
Next is pointers for becoming a good conversationalist. There are 10. First, start off the conversation by finding out what the other person has been doing that he would like to talk about. Second, make it fun for people to talk to you. Third, steer the conversation to topics that seem to be of interest to the personal topic. 5th, be tolerant of the ideas of others. 6. Widen your range of topic. 7. Make conversation interesting by inserting anecdotes and jokes. 8. Accept compliments graciously. 9. Make the other person or persons seem important. And lastly, 10. Never engage in gossip. Next is telephone manners. In business, your telephone personality is of great importance. There are 2. For incoming calls, follow the following procedure. First is identify yourself. Second, when the callers say, for example, "May I talk to Mr. Santos, please?" You answer in 2 ways. Either if he is in or if he is not in. Next, telephone usage. One of the most important duties of a person working in any industry today is the use of the telephone. And there are 9. First is
That's kick.
receiving a call. Second, answer promptly. Third, identify yourself. Fourth, get the person's name at the other end of the line. Write it down and use it in conversation. Fifth, if you have the hold button, use it properly. Sixth, manage call interruptions when you have simultaneous calls. Excuse yourself from the first call. 7, transfer calls only when necessary, such as when you are unable to help the caller. 8, complete calls purchase. And lastly, 9, make the customer feel important. And that would be all. Thank you and God bless.
Placing a call. First, plan your call in advance. Know whom you want to call, what you want to accomplish, and what you want to say. Keep a journal, notebook, or binder closed at hand to help organize your calls before placing them and to make notes during the conversation. This will eliminate misunderstandings and wasted time lates and will enhance your professional image. Second, time your call carefully. Place your call when the party is most likely to be available. If you do not know when is the best time to reach someone, either ask the person when a call would be convenient or ask someone in their organization who might know when the person is available for telephone calls. Ask, "Would it be more convenient for me to call you back today between 3 and 4? Keep in mind time differences when placing long-distance calls. Third, be sure the telephone number. Save yourself some time and avoid wrong numbers by using a personal telephone list for those frequently called numbers. Wrong numbers annoy the party called and cause needless delays and cost money. Fourth, do not expect others to recognize you by your voice. Identify yourself and your company.
This is Ida Cruz. I am calling for Mr. Santos of ABC Company. Is Mr. Reyes available?
Fifth, leave complete messages. You can yourself and the person you are calling time and irritation by leaving complete message. Provide your name and telephone number. When you give your telephone number, pause after each group of numbers so that the person taking the message has time to write it down accurately. My telephone number is 833, pause 4904. Placing domestic calls. Using DDD budget calls for domestic calls, the following steps are needed. 1. Dial the access code O for all cities. 2. Dial the area code. Example 32 for Cebu. 3. Dial the telephone number you wish to call. Conference call. You can talk with several persons in different places at the same time. Tell the operator you wish to make a conference call. This call saved travel cost among executives needing to talk to each other in different parts of the city, country, or world. Placing long-distance calls. If you wish to call the United States, using the DDD budget calls, 1. Dial the international access code 00. 2. Dial the country code 1. 3. Dial the area or city code 213 Los Angeles. 4. Dial the telephone number you wish to call. Example 828-3227. Learning to listen. One of the most important telephone skills is how to listen. We are so preoccupied with our own thoughts and what we want to say that we often interrupt the other person in mid-sentence. 1. When the customer starts talking, you stop. 2. Never interrupt the caller. 3. Take notes. 4. Listen for overtones. 5. Limit your own talking. How to manage a difficult caller. People who are not happy with the way you answer the telephone will tell others how poorly your business is run. Keep your voice at the same tone and level you always use with every caller. 1. Do not let yourself become angry or defensive. 2. Listen carefully to the caller's message. Never interrupt. 3. Let the customer enhance his or emotion. 4. Wait for a pause. 5. Apologize and do not blame anyone. 6. Confirm your understanding. 7. Think of how would feel in the same situation. 8. Focus on a solution and give your customer options if possible. 9. If you cannot solve the problem on the phone, let the customer know what you are going to do and give a time frame for your call back. 10. Thank the customer for calling and allowing you to resolve the problem. 11. Make a follow-up telephone call. Answering calls for others who are away from their telephones. Sometimes the telephone rings for the executive or a coworker who is in a meeting or away from his or her desk. 1. Explain executives or coworkers' absence. 2. Screen calls tactfully. 3. Take accurate message. What your voice says about you. In face-to-face conversation, more than 50% of our communication is done through body language, eye contact, hand gestures, body movement and facial expressions. On the telephone, all these are lost. You have to work twice as hard to communicate. The only instrument you have is your voice. Keep the following in mind. 1. Put a smile in your voice. 2. Reduce your rate of speech. 3. Speak directly into the telephone. Your lips should be about half an inch from the mouthpiece. 4. Enunciate your words. 5. Sound natural. 6. Listen to your own voice. Put a clock on personal calls. Telebobbed is one of the most irritating events in the office. Do not let it run for more than 8 minutes. The benefits of reducing personal calls are: 1. You will reduce the necessity of working late to make a time lost in personal calls. 2. You will build cooperation with coworkers who are willing to help you if you have been sticking to your job. 3. You will free yourself to handle occasional personal emergency calls without guilt or pressure. 4. You are fearing the telephone for incoming calls. Here's how to handle telephone interruption. 1. I'd like to hear the details of your vacation. What time can I call you at home tonight? 2. You will build cooperation with coworkers who are more willing to help you if you have been sticking to your job. 3. I'm glad you called about your new job. Use of telephone directories. There are 2 types of telephone directories: the white pages and the yellow pages. The white pages is an alphabetic listing of all subscribers and the yellow pages is a subject listing of businesses, agencies, and organizations that pay a fee for the listing of their name and perhaps for an advertisement. Do not overlook the vast store of reference material in the telephone directory. Giving clear directions. It is important to remember that many of the visitors are receiving directions for the first time. Give short and concise instructions. Avoid using terms that are unfamiliar to the visitor. The information must be correct. If you do not know, say so, and then locate the correct information. Speak slowly, clearly and distinctly. New and unfamiliar terms may be difficult to understand, particularly in the visitor speaks another language or is a special needs visitor. Instructions must be given confidently and with certainty. Look at the visitor when speaking to him or her. He or she will gain confidence in you. Explanations should be checked. This ensures that the directions have been clearly understood. Use non-verbal communication. Gestures, diagram, pictures and writing directions down on paper will help the visitor, especially one whose first language is not English.